So let's get right into this. This is important. And one of the things that I think is absolutely just out there is that President Biden has not signed the Social Security Fairness Act. He's passed through a ton of stuff already that has literally come out, directly before, directly after the Senate actually passed the Social Security Fairness Act. Now, remember, originally, Social Security legislative bulletin was released, which said, hey, I'll read it to you, number 118-12, December 23rd, 2024. The House passes H.R. 82 and the Social Security Fairness Act of 2023. On December of 2024, the Senate passed H.R. 82, Social Security Fairness Act of 2023, without amendment by yay-nay votes of 76-20. So a lot of people voted for it. The bill previously passed the House November 12th, 2024 by roll call vote, 327 to 75-1. Under suspension of the rules, the bill now moves to the president for his signature. This was on December 23rd from the SSA. So we got to wonder, why hasn't he signed it yet? He's been set up, he's been rocking and rolling, he's been put everything together to go ahead and sign it. But the issue is, well, you guessed it. The problem is, and just came out right over here, the problem is President Biden has left for vacation. The Hill. You guys know The Hill. They do articles and things like that. Biden arrives in St. Croix for last vacation as president. President Biden on Thursday arrived in St. Croix for his last vacation as president before leaving office next month. The president left the White House the day after Christmas with First Lady Jill Biden. He arrived in St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Thursday. So he's gone. He's already left the White House. He's gone. He left there 2 p.m. today. Okay, along with his daughter, Ashley Biden. So bottom line is he's not around to sign anything else. Biden has traveled to St. Croix for the New Year's holiday throughout his time as president, was criticized last year for making the trip amid a crisis at the U.S. southern border. At the time, a migrant caravan gained attention because it was heading to the U.S. and border crossings were increasing. This year, the president took off for his annual trip after he signed 50 bills on Christmas Eve and days after he signed a stopgap measure to avert a government shutdown. He was criticized last week for being absent during talks to keep the government open while President-elect Trump helped kill a bipartisan measure Speaker Mike Johnson negotiated. The White House on Friday blew off a host of questions over Biden's absence from the talks. The trip to St. Croix isn't his last as president before Trump is sworn in on January 20th. He plans to travel to Italy next month for meetings with Pope Francis, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and Italian President Sergio Mattarella, right? God, I love their names. All right, so with that said, he ain't even around. There are rumors that he already signed it. But it would be nice to, know if he did. It would, let us know. So the problem is, just to be fair with this situation, that the windfall situation, the facts are starting to line up. The facts are starting to add up. That he may have signed it in secrecy. He may not have signed it at all. So now we go to some of the other facts that are relevant to whether or not he's actually going to sign this into law. Because remember, the president has to sign this thing. Congress is out of session, which means if he doesn't sign it, it's a pocket veto. He's got to sign it within 10 days. Or if he doesn't sign it within 10 days, it normally becomes law. But because Congress is out of session for the big absence session that happens during the holidays, it becomes a pocket veto. And that bill, the Social Security Fairness Act, which increases benefits for 3 million government workers, future people, current people, et cetera, in the future, potential over the next 10 years, $200 billion, shortens the lifespan of the trust funds. Oh, Leanne, howdy. Good to see you there. I got to catch up with you, by the way. I got your message. So with that said, just to be super clear, this affects a lot of people. And Biden has decided to go island hopping. Emergency message from the SSA, which was released on 12/23/24. Emergency message 24067. That's where they basically do an internal document from the SSA that outlines specifically what the employees of the SSA are supposed to say to people, beneficiaries that call in, asking questions about the Social Security Fairness Act. They give one question and answer with it not having been signed yet. And then they give one question and answer with it already being signed, which is at the last page over here. I'll read to you the exact thing. Hold on. Okay, if you receive questions from the public about the elimination of WEP and GPO before Social Security Fairness Act HR 82 is signed into law, you say this. Okay, and then the last one is, hold on, it's right here. Hold on, it's right over here. Yeah, if you receive questions from the public about the elimination of WEP and GPO after Social Security Fairness Act HR 82 has been signed into law, you say this. So we're in like this weird limbo spot with whether or not benefits for Social Security benefits for all those government employees, teachers, firefighters, cops, etc. We don't know if they're going to get the boost. Now, a lot of people in the comments were trying to explain to other people how the WEP and GPO work. And at least 50% of them were dead ass wrong. They were totally wrong. And a lot of people are like, Social Security Fairness Act, this is money we've already paid in. We deserve it. Da, 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 da. Guys, the Social Security Fairness Act, the main thing, the windfall elimination provision, is where they treat government employees who have another pension more fairly by not giving them the advantage of the poverty standard for a lifetime low earner, because they didn't pay most of their lifetime into the Social Security Trust Fund. They paid most of their lifetime into other pension plans. So because the SSA Trust Fund thinks that they're a low earner, they give them the poverty allowance, which gives them the best bend points for increasing the amount of benefits they receive, because it's a system that helps the poor out, screws over the middle class, and totally F's over the wealthy. So it's not a fair system. It's like if they pass it and sign it, it's completely unfair to the American people. It's a boost, a benefit to government workers, but it F's over the American people in a couple of ways. But should we do it? Yeah, it's better than spending money on Ukraine. And then I see comments and people are like, well, those are different budgets. It's different budgets. Yeah. They're different budgets until money that gets paid in is converted to a special interest bond that is then converted into an actual usable dollar that is spent on whatever the hell the government wants to spend it on. Because remember, they're able to issue off of money you pay in FICA taxes, special interest bonds. It could take 15 years to go ahead and, come to fruition, requiring, basically money to, be paid back to those funds that were paid in. So it's just the whole like, oh, these are different funds here and there. No, they're not. At the end of the day, special interest bonds allow them to dip into the FICA taxes that were paid in. So they're not different. Money that was paid in the form of FICA taxes at some point somewhere likely ended up in Ukraine. And we've likely spent, between military spending, pension for Ukraine individuals, all kinds of humanitarian stuff, we've probably spent $200 billion on Ukraine so far. And remember, they don't always assess this stuff and tell us the truth with Ukraine's situation. Ukraine, they tell us what they passed in Congress to spend. But if you go look at the Department of Defense budget, they keep losing billions and billions of dollars, adding up to trillions of dollars that they don't know where it went. I mean, sure, you're going to find a $200,000 hammer every once in a while, but a lot of these black ops behind the scene things where there was a column of tanks, Russian tanks and troop carriers, then in the middle of the night, magically, it's just all gone. It's all messed up on the side of the road. How did that happen? Well, it wasn't Ukraine that did it. It was somebody else who had F-22s and F-35s. That's who did it. So, surprise, surprise. There's another issue here that we got to talk about too. So we talked about him going to the islands. We talked about the pocket veto. There's another thing too. I don't know what's going on between him and Trump. He had a meeting, a special side meeting. I don't know if there was a deal worked out. I know that Biden is cranky with the Democrats right now. I know that Biden is not feeling happy with how things ultimately resulted. Because, Kamala kind of stabbed him in the back with doing her whole thing as he promoted her, and then he had to switch to promoting her, and then she didn't do some of the stuff he wanted her to do. So, yada, yada. Zimmerman makes a good point. Why didn't Trump sign this in the first term? But doesn't matter. I mean, it's one of those things where they could bring it up. All right, look, so here's my thing. Trump could have signed this. Not, obviously we had 4 years of Biden, but Trump could have signed this before Biden. In fact, this bill existed in its earliest forms all the way back to the Obama era. But if Biden doesn't sign this, this thing dies. It's an Article 1. It's a pocket veto, and we went through that in the prior video with the Constitution and how it works. So what that means is, unfortunately, they'll have to re-vote this thing in to go ahead and have the House pass it and the Senate pass it. I think they will, and I believe Trump will go ahead and pass it. And this is my belief: Democrats this time around for Trump are unfortunately in a situation where, to be fair, I think they're less of a problem to Trump than, for example, to the Republicans that are like the ones that are like the old school Republicans that are just trying to like dismantle whatever Trump wants to do. I see the old school Republicans as more of aggressors and problematic people to Trump than the Democrats. Because remember, he's got to keep those old school Republicans happy. And the Democrats, he doesn't really need them for votes. But for this, if Biden lets this slide like a backdoor deal to Trump going into 2025, Trump gets this pass, the Social Security Fairness Act benefit boost. And then he also gets the pullback, the repeal of the taxes that are due, essentially, to those receiving retirement benefits who earn over the $25,000 and $34,000. So, from my perspective, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. So, I don't know. I don't know exactly what the future is. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I think Biden is going to sign it, but I just don't know what's happening. And there's no production anywhere that he has de facto signed it. There's just no production. And so, there's no news station. There's no modification of some thing at the SSA that says, oh, he signed it, he's done this, he's yada, yada. I assumed he would have signed this without problem. He signed a bunch of other stuff. The other stuff has publication that's been signed. They've done articles on it. The legacy news channels have covered it. Different groups that are administrations in the government that actually have to deal with this stuff already have produced internal documents on it. Trust me, I checked before we did this video. I checked the SSA website to see if there was an emergency message update. There's not. The last emergency message produced was on the 23rd of December. So at this point, you're going to get people saying he absolutely signed it. They don't know. The only people who know whether or not he signed it are potentially advisors working in a very small circle around him. And the whole idea is the expectation is that they're going to release this at the right time and the right moment. But we're running out. There's 5 days left until the end of the year, right? That's it. And then we're running out. So I don't know if there was a sweetheart deal, what they call a Tiffany deal, basically with the president, Trump and Biden in that meeting that they had where Biden would be giving Trump this and then, certain legal actions wouldn't be brought against Biden. Certain legal actions would be pulled off against Trump. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with there. There's another thing too that adds as like a supplemental fact, with this whole situation. The Democrats have not been particularly active, and the Republicans have been anti-active, if you will. They've been aggressive towards, not having Social Security, bills be brought forward. But the Democrats haven't really pushed or been active with trying to get Social Security. You remember the Social Security 2100 Act, Social Security Fairness Act. There were all these different bills that were presented to try and help Social Security, get the trust funds in line, do some accounting, make it work, etc. None of them have been aggressive with pushing forward an ideology that would actually get everybody on board to do this. So the problem we face is that we must ask, why did the Social Security Fairness Act, after decades of being in existence, not get pushed forward until the very end of President Biden's presidency? Like, what took it to be pushed into the light? What took it to be pushed into the existence so that, basically the House passed it, the Senate passed it. It had co-sponsors, massive amounts of co-sponsors for a really long time. So what the hell happened? So what my belief is this, okay? Biden wanted to have a win in the Social Security field because if he left office after 4 years without something like this passing, they would have used this against him and every future Democrat going forward. It would have been murderous intent against the Democrats. They needed a win. This was their win. Okay. Trump's getting rid of the 25,000, 34,000, 50% to 80%, taxation on retirement benefits. That's a better bill, right? That's why Kamala was jumping on board to say, yeah, I'll do that too. But that's a better bill to pass. But this is a good win for the Democrats. And then nobody can say that they didn't do anything during Biden's presidency. But just to be clear, if we look at the history and the facts, Democrats have almost worked in tandem with the Republicans to have manufactured failure when it comes to fixing Social Security benefits. So to me, that's another fact we have to, go ahead and just to be fair, accept as a reality that we've been seeing that. We saw that through Trump's presidency. We saw it through, we saw it through Biden's presidency. Heck, we even saw it in part, although there was more activity, on behalf of Obama's presidency. Now, there's another thing, too, that I want to go through real quick. A lot of people aren't totally sure with how the whole voting things work. I can see right here, it looks like O said, I've heard that if a president won't sign a bill that's vitally important enough, they can be overridden by someone else who will sign it instead of him. That means they'll go on without him. That's not totally accurate unless it's like a security clearance for a military, yada, yada. But point is this, in this situation, what you need to know is that normally a bill, when it passes the House and the Senate, it goes to the president. The president has to sign it. If they don't sign it within 10 days, then it's automatically passed into law so long as it can be returned, right? This was Article 1 stuff, returned back to the body that it originated in, right? So that the thing has to be returned for them to receive it. The House of Representatives, they receive it and then they can make it into law even though the president didn't sign it. The only problem is they can't do that if a bill can't be returned to the original body. Why can't we return this bill to the original body? Because they're on holiday. The sessions have closed. It's done. That's it. We're there. It's done. The House is done. The Senate is done. We're going into New Year. Now, they ruled in Supreme Court claim that basically if it was just like a couple of days, right? 2 days, 3 days, they're coming right back, then it's fine. It's no biggie, right? He didn't sign it. Still goes into law. It was only a couple of days. It's not a big yada yada. But this isn't like that. This is different. This is a long period where they're out of session, which means that if President Biden doesn't sign that son of a gun, that becomes a pocket veto, which kills the bill. It's dead. It doesn't exist going forward. They have to re-vote it in the House and re-vote it in the Senate under Trump's presidency. So, bottom line, just to be fair, I think he will sign it. I have not gotten absolute clarification on whether or not he has signed it. I've gotten some weeble wobble from some of the people I know that interact with that office. It would be the greatest political failure for Social Security benefits of a president in the modern era for him not to sign it. Because Trump is he's gonna monetize that sucker. He is going to be, imagine Trump signing that and the whole, not taxing retired people. I mean, that he would be that like his first year would be like the great, the great savior of Social Security benefits, Trump, which, to be fair, you don't usually put that together with like Trump and Social Security are not usually bedfellows. You know what I mean? So with that said, just to go ahead and clarify for those who are just tuning in now, let's talk about some of the basic facts. The Social Security Administration has not released an emergency message as to its signing, which means that we have no agency clearance. They've only released a message on December 23rd about what their employees should say to people calling in about it, if it hasn't been signed, and if it has been signed. We know that he has left, went to St. Croix to have a vacation. Not his last vacation. He's going to go to Italy thereafter, but basically St. Croix, that's his holiday stop, which means he's probably not going to be popping back to the White House to sign it. Does he have to be in the White House to sign it? No. But it is a little weird that he signed over 50 other things that came out right at the same time, but he didn't sign this one, which makes me believe that he signed it privately or pre-shot footage of him signing it with people around him, and that they're going to release it at the very last moment. That, to me, that's what's going on. I hope that's what's going on, because I would be so pissed if he let this slide and become a pocket veto. The other option is a pocket veto, which is where he doesn't sign it. Bill becomes dead. It can't be brought back. Bottom line is Article 1 issue. It cannot be returned to the originating body. So, yeah, that's and Michelle K. Squared said, that's the problem, is the new Congress is coming in. That's the issue. It's a pocket veto. Pocket vetoes kill the bill. Doesn't matter if the House voted on it, the Senate voted on it. It can't go back to them. It's not like he does another thing where he writes something on it and says, I don't like this, and it goes back to them, and they get a chance to do a 2/3 vote. You know what I mean? And then if it passes both of them, then it becomes law. That won't apply here. This is a pocket veto situation. It's rare. They're unique. It's weird. Somehow we got in this shitty situation as to whether or not the benefits will increase and this thing will pass. Another thing that we have to just summarize, understand, is that historically, the Democrats, the Republicans, past 4 years with Trump, they haven't been active with Social Security benefits. So just to clarify, they work in tandem. Okay? The only time we get to see potential Social Security changes that benefit the American people is when a divorce occurs and the parents, the Democrats and the Republicans, have to somehow buy presents for that child who is now part of that divorced situation. And then when Christmas comes, the mommy and the daddy have to buy presents to make that child feel like they're loved. That's the only time we see Social Security changes, is when a presidential level election is occurring and they're throwing out promises to make that kid choose who they're going to love more. That's it. Literally, you vote for the one you love more. That's how it is. Okay. Bottom line is this: there won't be an opportunity to do a 2/3 vote. It is a pocket veto. He doesn't necessarily have to be at the White House to sign the thing. My belief, again, and final thought, is that basically he has already signed it. My belief is that he's not telling anybody that's been signed. My belief is that he's going to release it at the perfect moment. My belief is that this is a really weird game that he is playing, because if it were me and I were a politician, if I had signed 50 things into existence, and I understand he had a lot of people that he was giving get out of jail free cards. I understand that. But if it were me, I would have spent the rest of this year having, White House, Oval Office, people behind me, big pen with a Sharpie tip, sign and bill this, sign and bill that. Because as history goes forward, that's what's going to dictate how people remember him. The photos of him signing things into existence. Think about it. Think about presidents in the past. Think about things that they did. A lot of those were bills that were signed into law by presidents, and that's how we know them. Right? That's it. Unless there's like a Watergate situation. Weird thing about Nixon. Everybody thinks of him as Watergate, but he also passed the most hyper liberal laws into existence, known as supplemental security income. For a guy that was not a liberal person, the most liberal thing ever passed it's weird, but we know him by Watergate. We don't know him by the supplemental security income Title 16 law, which is weird. All right, so the point is this. We're going to go to the next video. The next video, Biden's pick, a favorite of mine, Commissioner Martin O'Malley, is now under congressional review for something he did. Congress is not happy. They're setting everything up right now. It's in its very early stages. Bottom line is, I'm going to walk you through what's going on so you have an understanding. After that video, I'll go live to answer questions. Yes, we're doing the videos quickly. Yes, I need to get through them, because we're going to go live tonight and answer questions through a free consultation. I will catch you all a little bit later, and I will see you at the next video shortly. I'm going to go ahead and start it almost immediately, so I will put the link in the chat section right there, and I will catch you all soon. All right, Attorney Walter Hnot, please remember to like, subscribe, and become a member if you want. But the thing I love seeing, if you go to Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida on Google, you just type in Disability Resolution, throw some review stars up there. If you like the commentary, the videos, they help me honestly wake up and just feel better, because I work all day, all night, and it's miserable. So I will catch you a little bit later. We go live live Mondays and Thursdays for me to answer questions for free. There is a mini contract below if you want to borrow or buy an hour of time during basically my lunch. And what I do is I go ahead and answer difficult questions or go through a timeline situation, what you should do with your unique situation. I will catch you at the next video in about 3 to 4 minutes. Wait for the thingy in the chat. I'll put the link right there, and we will catch up shortly. Attorney Walter Hnot, thank you so much. And I'll catch you a little bit later. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.